Do you have any idea what went wrong on this shot?
I mean, I think you didn't play it with confidence.
That's a good point. Yes, I didn't play that with confidence. So whenever I have those long shots, I really, first of all, like to play them not with a slow roll shot, but with authority. You can see I easily made that, but this is actually not the point, because there is something else that really prevents people from making those long shots, or especially shots off the rail. The problem here is that I rested my bridge hand like this on a table, and you can see right away that my cue is elevated way too much. So if you come over to the side, you can show the people, you can see like this compared to having the cue flat, because the problem is when you're elevating your cue and you're adding unintentional side spin, of course the cue ball will make a curve to the left or to the right. So with left spin, in this case, just a tiny bit of unintentional left spin, and I will completely mishead the 5 ball. So whenever you're cueing off the rail or also off the table, you don't want to be angled, you want to be as flat as possible. So on this long shot, where you're rolling the ball, for example, try to be as level as possible with that cue, because that way you're definitely increasing your chances. I mean, it's still a difficult shot. You can see I didn't hit it right. Had I elevated a tiny bit, I would have completely missed that shot again. So this was the problem here. And in our next situation, we have to bring the cue ball all the way back to the 9 ball. So we have to draw the cue ball. And what I also see way too often is that trying to draw the cue ball back, doing it like this, and somehow you don't really get the cue action on the cue ball. I mean, it did come back a little bit, but I was way off to drawing all the way back to the 9 ball. So what do you think was the problem here?
Maybe because you didn't follow through the cue ball enough.
Yeah, that's a nice point, and this is related to the actual problem, because if you come over to that side and show what I'm doing from the side again, the problem was that my bridge length was way too short. And if you want to generate action and follow, you have to be able to pull the cue back way more, that you can actually generate the speed and follow through the cue ball. Because if you just pull the cue back like this, how do you want to generate the speed? Because you can't accelerate in this tiny distance compared to this distance where you really have time to accelerate through the cue ball and then follow through. So this is the big problem here. Of course, if you're too far away, then everything becomes very wiggly. You can see a tiny movement to the left, to the right. So this is way too far away. So you gotta find your sweet spot. What is for sure is that this is definitely too short and this is definitely too far. So my feel good bridge length, it depends a bit on the type of shot you need to play, but here on this draw shot, this is probably my feel good bridge distance. And you can see it was way easier to generate all the backspin because I had a nice bridge length. Let's use almost the same situation for our next tiny mistake that you can easily fix within a minute. So once again, we just want to draw the cue ball all the way back to the 9. We already know about the bridge length, so don't be too short, don't be too far away, have it natural. And when players are especially drawing the cue ball, this is what most of the time happens. We're going down, nice bridge length, trying to draw. And you can see this was... So did you see what actually happened here? The problem was, of course, I hit too low on the cue ball, and because of that, the cue ball jumped. And this is a very common mistake, especially for beginners. And of course, the problem was I just hit too low on the cue ball. But why did I actually hit too low? Well, the problem was I actually, whenever I went through the cue ball, I gripped the cue just too tight. And the problem is, if you come over and watch what happens, so whenever I'm at the cue ball and now I have it very loosely in my hand, do you see that in the camera? Whenever I grip it tighter, you can see the cue actually in front goes a bit down because, of course, the cue goes up in the end and in the top it goes down, and because of that you're actually hitting lower as you've intended. So it's very important to hold the cue loosely in your hand. Don't hold it too loose. I don't like to just hold it with 2 fingers, but also not too tight. You gotta find your personal sweet spot, but the wrist and your grip should be just a passive part, should be very loose in your hand. If you're doing that, you can see how effortlessly you can actually draw the cue ball back. here all we want to do is just play a stop shot, play the 8 ball into the corner and then the 9 ball into the side. So watch what happens very, very often when I'm watching players. I'm going down, trying to play the 8 ball in, and the 8 ball rattles, still drops. It was very, very lucky, but I basically missed the shot. So the reason why did I miss that shot? What was the problem?
Maybe unintentional side spin.
Yeah, could be. Unintentional side spin is a very valid point. Probably was the case here, or I'm just aiming wrong. But the thing that actually led to the unintentional side spin was that I just was hitting that ball way too hard. And whenever you're hitting balls hard, or the harder you're hitting balls, the more difficult it actually becomes to be accurate. Because if I'm powering that in with 100 miles per hour, it's very, very easy to actually be that accurate. So just compare the shot that I just played with how I'm playing the shot now. You can see how easily you can actually play that shot. So no effort, that way I'm way more accurate. And the other huge advantage if you're playing the shot that soft, that you actually increase the size of the pocket. Because you have to imagine if I'm hitting the long rail first and I'm hitting very soft, the 8 ball slides along the rail, gets to here and then drops into the pocket. But if I'm really powering it in and I'm hitting the same spot on the rail, then the 8 ball will actually be more likely to rattle out of the pocket, just like it happened on the first shot. So you can also use pocket speed if you're hitting softer, which increases the size of the pocket. The shot is easier to execute, the pocket becomes bigger, and you have a very, very nice shot on the 9 ball. So of course this requires a nice quality stroke with nice cue action and nice follow through. But this is exactly what you're aiming for if you're playing pool. You don't want to be forced to play this shot as hard as you can in order to get a stop shot. Very important, if you're playing the stop shot here, I'm playing as low as possible on the cue ball, because that way I will have backwards rotation on the cue ball first, but once it reaches the 8 ball, it will slide and you will have a stop shot. So in order to play a very, very soft stop shot, you have to hit as low as possible. Remember, without miscuing. So hold your cue loosely and have the right bridge distance.
You're still here? This means you definitely want to improve your game, and for that I have the perfect training program, the Golden 21, a very nice and guided training program to improve your game. I also have 30 secret videos and drills that were never published on my YouTube channel. I'm having a playing ability test where you can see your strengths and weaknesses in 6 different categories, and I have the mental edge for players who really struggle when they're in competition, 12 key lessons on the mental game. And if you want to see more free content, then just subscribe to this channel. I have some great training lessons on this YouTube channel, and very important, activate all bell notifications to never miss a single video. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, see you at the next lesson. Take care.